when you're in a relationship with somebody, a sibling, a parent, an adult child, where you have got so much baggage built up, like you are literally pulling up to any conversation on the phone, any text message, anything. I want you to imagine you have a freaking U-Haul next to you. You got everything that's ever happened, all the death by 1,000 cuts. You're both kind of locked in this. It just takes one person to change the dynamic. But here's the thing. If you're the one that goes to therapy, if you're the one that listens to the podcast episodes, if you're the one that reads the Let Them Theory book, if you're the one that starts to calm yourself down and act like a more mature adult in the relationship, more loving person, if you're the one that's using the tools and you're saying, I wonder what it was like when my mom was such and such, or I wonder what it must have been like for my little sister, or I wonder what it was like for my dad, and you step into their shoes, do not expect the other person to do the same thing. Because expecting someone else to meet you at the same level that you are now trying to learn about and meet yourself and go through life, they cannot do that unless they've done the work. And what we write about extensively in the Let Them Theory book, in fact, the book is divided into 8 sections, and one of the sections is all about how our attempts to make other people change and our expectations that they should keeps the dynamic stuck. And so the hardest part about all of this is that, yes, you can change the dynamic, no question. Absolutely. And all you need is you. You do not need the other person's participation, because your behavior and your emotional maturity is so powerful that it influences the dynamic. And if you're lucky, over time, it changes the dynamic. And I want you to think about it this way. Let's say you have a really antagonistic relationship with somebody. Every time you get on the phone or you see each other, it's like you both pull up in your U-Haul trailers with all the baggage. You both hope it goes better. But the relationship is a lot like a tug-of-war. You each pick up the rope, you hook it to the U-Haul, and now you're pulling each other with all the baggage and the weight. The fastest way to win the tug-of-war is to actually just drop the rope. Don't play. Let them. Let them tug. Don't tug back. And what's going to happen is the person's going to tantrum. The person's going to say flippant things. Oh, is this what you learned in therapy? Is this therapy speak that you're using on me now? Let them say it. I don't know, Mom. Just tired of the tension. Really would love to have a better relationship with you, so I'm trying. Oh, let them. Because they don't know how to operate in the new dynamic yet. They're still committed to the baggage and the story. They don't know anything different. And now that you're showing up different, you're calmer. You're not pulling on the rope. You're not stabbing back. You're just showing up. You're clear that you want to shift the dynamic. Every time they say something that would normally agitate the hell out of you, just say, let them. And let me remind myself that even when they act like an 8-year-old, I'm not their parent, and it's not my job to manage this. So let them. And when you stay in your power and you continue to do it over and over and over, the person in your life reveals how much they can meet you at this level. And you might be surprised. You know, there are people in my life that I've had antagonistic relationships with, and now that I have the let them theory, and I show up very differently. And I'm calmer, and I'm more compassionate, and I'm more understanding, and I walk away the second I sniff any kind of stress or antagonism coming. I just remove myself from the conversation. The dynamic's different. As I step into someone else's shoes and I go, I wonder what it must be like to be. And I really play out the story in my mind from the other person's point of view. You know, the sibling that didn't get married, the sibling that can't get it together. Wonder what it must be like to be the one that mom and dad is supporting. That can't feel that great. Huh. You know, wow, I could be a little bit more compassionate here. Maybe it's not worth my time and energy to actually get bothered by this. Maybe I should just bathe myself in feeling sorry for somebody and a little bit more compassionate that this is what their life is like, and just let them. And let me remind myself that I'm really proud of where I'm at. And I'm proud that I'm the emotionally mature person. And what you're going to notice is it takes time. Because as you said, Sawyer, and I thought it was a beautiful thing to share, that when you were angry, you got my attention. And a lot of people in your life are angry, or they're in breakdown, or they treat you in passive aggressive ways because it gets your attention. And what does that tell you? It tells you all they ever wanted was your attention. And maybe you can be the one that can close this distance because you start giving them the attention in an entirely new way. And when somebody starts to feel tended to, and they start to feel like they have a little bit more of your attention, it's kind of shocking how people change. Now, it doesn't always happen, and that's something that's important to say, because let them doesn't change things. It creates the space for things to change. And that's why this is so powerful.
I loved the visual of the
tug-of-war,
because immediately what I thought was, if you put me and you on either side of the tug of rope,
yep.
Every single time that I was mad at you, I was tugging. And every single time you would basically hold on tight and tug closer to me.
Yeah.
Because you just wanted to save me and do all this and do all that. Whenever we fight, whenever we used to argue in the past, it would be both of us tug of warring.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with the let them theory, which you started implementing with me and our family way before I even knew it, I think what ended up happening is I would start to tug and you would drop the rope and I would fall down, which happens every single time. And it's not falling down in the sense of I'm less than or screw her. It's more so, oh, she's just not playing this game anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's so beautiful. What is so beautiful about the let them theory is you actually can't play the game of tug of war when one person isn't playing.
It takes two. And none of us want to see that we are a participant in a dynamic. And that's why it takes one person to change not only the dynamic with anyone in your life, but it takes one person to change an entire family system. And, you know, as much as you can change the dynamic with anybody and you can improve any relationship because you can shift how you show up, you have to always remember something. There is one thing you will never be able to change, and that's another person. People only change when they feel like changing and when the conditions for changing are present. And that's important, because if somebody doesn't want to change or they can't change due to some condition in their life right now, they're not going to change. And there's too many relationships where you're wishing someone would change and you're working against the fundamentals of human wiring, which is people have to feel that they are in control of their own lives. That's why they're tugging on the rope. They want your attention. They want to win. They want to be right, so they tug on the rope. When you say let them and you don't play that game, you just shifted the dynamic. And as things shift and it impacts someone else, now they have to question, if what I used to do doesn't work, maybe I should try something else. And that means you're triggering the truth about human beings, which is they only change when they feel like it. And if you're changing the dynamic and what has always happened and all the baggage is no longer relevant because you're not arguing over the same old crap anymore, then all of a sudden there's a lot less to argue about. And that's what creates this space that makes someone else actually want to change. Because most people are actually seeking your attention. They're seeking to feel important and seen. And they've just been going about it in very negative ways or in subconscious patterns that just don't work anymore. So, in the process, Soy, of you and I really learning how to use the let them theory to create more space for our relationship to change, it's really been extraordinary to get to know you in a totally different way. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about talking about this today with, you as you're listening to us, is that you have no idea what's possible in your relationships. You only know the way it's been. But I see a bigger possibility for you. There's no doubt in my mind that people in your life can change. Don't you agree, Soy?
Yes, 100%.
So we start writing the book together.
And geez.
What do you mean, and geez?
Geez, oh geez. It was not a breeze.
Oh my God, no.
Mom.
Yes.
This was
horrible.
I genuinely think if the topic of the book was not letting other people be themselves, live their lives in order for you to live your best life and for you to finally be yourself, I would not be sitting here today.
How come?
Because this book writing process brought us closer, but also was, it was hard. It was really hard.
The let them theory and saying let them and then saying let me as a way to diffuse tension and frustration and stress in your relationships, it doesn't make anything easy. It makes it happen. As we are writing this book together, and just imagine the craziness of this. We have a mother-daughter relationship, a daughter who does not want to work for her mother, a mom who is stressed out and running this massive business, dying to be closer to you. We now have this project that we're working on only because you need money. And it just so happens that the project heals our relationship because the tool that we're writing about is a tool that brings you closer to other people by letting go of controlling them. And it forces you to let other people be themselves, which makes you see them for the first time. I said, let them with you probably 5 times a day.
I think I said it 25 times a day. And let me just paint the picture for you guys.
Okay.
So we are living together.
Which is, I would not recommend.
Do not recommend. Do a project virtually or something. But we are living together. So every single day for the entire last year, this is how it would go. We'd wake up. Hey, Mom. Hey, Soy. How are you? Oh my gosh, you sleep well? Yeah, sleep well. Okay, then we go to exercise together. No boundaries. Then we eat breakfast together. One of us is making the same smoothie for the both of us. Then we're in such a positive mood. We go up to the office, we sit down, and then all of a sudden, our personalities come out. Mom, her brain is the most beautiful, creative, absolute disaster tornado I've ever worked with in my entire life. She cannot make a decision. She is all over the place, and you cannot contain her in structure. She wants to creative write for, I don't even know how you got your other 2 books done, to be completely honest.
Me either.
But she would love to creative write every single day for the rest of time. She wants no boundaries, no structure. She pretty much writes the same thing 20 times in a row. And it sucks. And then I come in and all I want to do is, what is the organization? What is the structure? Give me the table of contents. Give me the outline. And I would literally set up outlines for her. Write this sentence here. Write this here. Write this. And the amount, you should see our Google Drive. It is like 5,000 different documents because it is me creating structure, Mom not writing in it, and then her creating a whole separate document where she chooses to write everything, and then coming back to me, and then we come back together. It was both of our brains do not work well together.
No.
And so the entire time I was trying to control her and she was trying to basically run away from me. And so every single day it would start off with us just saying, let them. Every single time I really had to let go of my need to put this into a structure and come up with the main points and summarize it and just work in order of chapters. Meanwhile, we are all over the place and creative writing, and we're doing this and then we're scrapping this. We literally went through 11 manuscripts. And when I say 11 manuscripts, it's not a sentence change. It is a scrap the entire thing and rewrite from page 0 the entire manuscript. 11 of them in the last year. All of which I said, I think we're good here. I think
not
we
good
can.
enough.
And it was not good enough. I agree.
Let them.
But I literally had to say, let them every single time. And so that's about 12 p.m. when we start getting hangry and annoyed. And then we eat because we both notice that we're starting to get snippy and on edge with each other. And then comes the afternoon where it can go one of two ways, mostly one way, which is blow up fight, crying. You don't listen to me. You don't do this. You don't do that. And then it's a total relationship, like therapy session between the two of us where we end up crying and hugging and then getting back to work. And then if it was a good day, we have a glass of wine. If it was a bad day, we have a glass of wine. And then we go to bed. And then we literally every single day, Monday through Sunday, that was our routine.
And then in between that, producing all these podcast episodes and giving speeches and everything. It was a lot. It was too much. But the bigger takeaway is this, because I don't want you to be discouraged from ever working in a family business. And I don't want you to think that all of the tension and fighting was for naught, because the bottom line is writing a book is a colossal undertaking. Typically, you would do it in 2 years. We produced this one in 8 months. That is insane in terms of the timeline. And the only reason why it got done, it was because of you. And when you're not only dealing with somebody that you have a story about and you want to have a better relationship with, but you also have very different working styles and thinking styles, using the let them theory is a lifesaver, because every time I would say let them, because Sawyer was yelling at me that I was rewriting a chapter and I wasn't following the outline, and why even bother doing an outline if you're not even going to follow it? Every time I said let them, what happened is I recognized the genius in your brain, because this is how you think. You know, in life, there are what I call box jumpers and box steppers. So if you imagine a path, every step, A, B, C, D, E, the path leads from point A to point Z. You're the kind of person, Sawyer, that you don't need to see point Z. You know exactly what A to B to C to C to D. You are a genius. You are a box stepper. You can take any process. You can organize a structure around it. Like, my brain cannot do that. It can't. Your dad is the same way. I am a different type of thinker. I am what you call a box jumper. And it is my genius to stand at point A and see all the way down the line and go, oh, we're going to W. Now, I have no idea how to create a map to get there, but I know we're going to get there. And here's the problem with most of our relationships. I want Sawyer to be a box jumper. I want her to think like me. I want her to be like me. And that's why I feel frustrated and tension and like anger and resentment, because you're not like me and you don't think like me. Meanwhile, Sawyer just wishes I was a box stepper, that I could go from A to B and then B to C. And she doesn't understand why my brain doesn't work the way that her brain works. And I think most of us build up this invisible distance with one another because we've never learned how to say, let them. And when you say, let them, and you let somebody freak out because their brain works differently or because their expectations weren't met. Like I think a lot about, especially around the holidays or big celebrations. Of course, your family's bummed you're not coming. They love you. Shouldn't they be upset? Shouldn't they be disappointed? I mean, what's the alternative? I'm glad you're not coming because I hate you anyway. Instead of saying, oh, well, what does it actually mean if someone's disappointed? It just means they love me and they just wish I were there. Doesn't mean I have to change my plans because two things can be true at once. Someone can be disappointed in me and still love me. And I can be kind of sad that this year I'm going to my in-laws and I'm going to miss out, but those can both be true. And what can also be true is my daughter and I can be very different thinkers. And we can be wired very differently. And through understanding and acceptance, there's room for both of us. And it's in that space where Sawyer can be frustrated because I'm yet again as an artist. I'm just an artist. That's what I am. I blow something up because I know that this isn't going to take us to W. And I can't explain to her how we're going to get to W, but I know her genius will get us there. If I can create space for your experience to be sad or emotional or mad and just let them. And then I say, well, let me be honest with myself about what I know to be true and let me hold space for you to be upset. Same thing's true with you. Okay, let them. Here goes mom again. The crazy, insane artist. Let her. And let me remind myself as the project manager on this, if this doesn't hit the deadline, not my fault, it's hers. So let her blow it up because it's her name on the cover. Let her do it because she's going to have to reap the consequences of it. And it was not easy. And that's the thing about the let them theory as a tool. It's a tool that you are going to use every day in every relationship. I literally say it every day in my marriage. I say it every day with Sawyer because little things piss you off. Little things make you roll your eyes. But instead of letting those little things become the invisible cuts that create the distance that makes your relationship slowly die and resentment take over, when you say let them, you just let them go and it doesn't build up. And you learn how to love the person as they are instead of constantly wishing they were just like you because they're never going to be.
I think that also using the let them theory in this book writing process made this book so much better because you let me write from a 20s perspective and I let you, even though I can't relate, from a 50s perspective. And so I feel like this book has so much relatable stories and it reaches so many different age groups, mine, yours, everyone's in between, that it actually brought the finishing product
oh my God, incredible.
to be so much better. And I think that like just having both of our writing styles woven in throughout of it is really amazing.
Well, if we hadn't had let them, we probably would have thrown this project out the window and said, let's not bother. And you would have quit and moved to New York and said, see, I told you. But it was the tool of saying let them and then saying let me that created the space for us to work together on a project and have very different styles and also very different experiences. Because this is my 9th book. We've done 6 audiobooks for Audible. We did the 5-second rule and the high 5 habit. So I've been through this rodeo. You haven't. And so it's also this experience of bringing someone into a project who is learning in the seat, doing a remarkable job, but also all the stress and anxiety that comes from never having done it before.
I knew I always wanted to be closer with you. And if I think back to before working together, our relationship, it was not horrible, but I don't think it was great.
There was something underneath the surface that made it not so great. And what was that for you?
You